All right, I got ace king in a 4-bet pot. I have a flush draw on the turn. I'm going for it. Fold. Now I want him to fold. Before I wanted him to call. Now I want him to fold. He calls with ace queen. Oh my god, and he hits it offsuit queen. Holy shit. Oh my god, he had 3 outs. He had 3 outs and he hit it. What's up guys, it's Alec Torelli and I'm excited to be back today, fired up, coming off a great win. Your guys' support, it's really awesome, and I just find that sharing my journey makes poker more inspiring and meaningful, and it gives it a deeper purpose for me. And so it's really cool. Like I got my camera here, and it's as much about playing as it is about sharing and helping others on their journey, and that's really cool. It's like ignited this new fire in me to play poker. So I'm back at it today. Normally in the afternoons, Amber and I like to go out on walks, explore new parks, go out to nature, but today's obviously raining, not as beautiful of a day, so perfect time to play some poker. Coached 2 clients today, and then just had some content that I was working on and stuff like that too. So I had an interesting work day, and now I'm taking a break in the afternoon and gonna play some poker, so it's great balance. Really excited to do it. It feels like a hobby. It feels like I get to do this. I'm like a little kid. Again, get to like, wow, I get to play poker today. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get a few hours in, see how it goes, and really pumped. Just some quick thoughts about today. I don't want to get too cocky about a win. It's obviously a great win I had the first session, but ultimately I don't know how stable these games are. I don't know how much variance there's going to be. I don't know how bad the players are. I don't know if I'm going to find, just VIPs donating $2,000 to me with ace-3 offsuit the first hand. Like, how sustainable is that in these games? I really have no idea. So I definitely want to keep my feet on the ground. I want to go back in today with the same game plan I had in the first session, which is just play a solid foundational approach, play my strong hands, be aggressive in the right spots, don't get out of line at all until I know how people are playing, and then adjust from there. So my game plan is really much the same. I'm still just basically pretending like I'm even, pretending like that session didn't even happen, just so that I'm mentally in the right headspace to be able to attack these games with the reverence that it needs to really play poker well at a high level in these games that I know are going to be tough and competitive. So I'm excited to dive back in. I'm going to open up a few tables here and let's get cracking. 2 tables going. 1 table where there's 2 short stacks, and typically people that buy in short, like if you buy in $1,000 to a $2,000 buy-in game, maybe you're taking a shot at a game you shouldn't be playing. So I typically assume that they're probably not the best. Again, it's the best read that I have given the situation. And the other game, I'm just playing heads up. I'm trying to build, I'm trying to create a game here. But the guy I'm playing heads up is pretty good. I would say he's probably a pro, just based on like his bet sizing. And I think one way to identify a pro pretty quickly is their bet sizing. If you see someone make it, you're playing 10-20 and they make it $44 pre-flop, or you're playing, a 1-3 game and they make it $7.70 or something like that, they're probably a pro. And they just typically don't toggle, like amateurs don't toggle their bet sizes. Pros think a lot in certain spots. They'll down bet the flop. That's one of the biggest signs that someone you're playing with is a pro, is they'll do what is called a down bet. And a down bet is making a really small bet after making a big bet. So let's say they raise pre-flop. Let's say you're playing, whatever, I'm playing 10-20. They make it $60 heads up, you call, the pot's 120. And on the flop, they'll bet $35 into a $120 pot, or a $40 bet. And they'll do this on what's called dry board textures, meaning boards that are very uncoordinated, so like king 7 deuce. And the reason they'll do that is because there's simply not many hands that you can call with on a king 7 deuce board, so they want to utilize a smaller bet size to allow them to bet more often, bet more profitably, and have a better risk reward. It's a really smart play, but you're seeing pros do this all the time. Amateurs don't really make those plays. So I think those are signs that you're playing against a good player. These are the things I'm identifying really quickly. Again, I don't have much information to go off, so I have to just make inferences. I have to judge a book by its cover in a game where people are trying to conceal their real identity and conceal their talent. But that's the best I have so far. But overall, I'm very impressed with these games. It's pretty damn soft from what I've experienced so far, I'm surprised to see the biggest stakes games run with seats open and VIPs on both tables or in multiple days. That's pretty unheard of. So poker is definitely alive.
Poker is without a doubt one of the most complex games in the world. Even the best of the best will admit that the more they learn, the more they realize they don't know. Players who decide to work on their game often make the mistake of focusing only on gameplay strategy. But to play like a pro, you have to think like a pro. And that goes way beyond the cards.
There's only 5 or 6 people on the planet that understand how good your play was right there.
It's not enough to become better at playing poker alone. To crush the game, you have to become a better poker player.
Wow, how good is Alec play?
That's a sick laydown.
That is really sick. I'm very impressed with Alec. The hero fold there.
Wow!
No, Torelli's hand must be wrong. He must
But he's done it.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really good call.
I'm Alec Torelli, and I've won millions playing tournaments and high-stakes cash games all over the world.
And Alec Torelli makes the fold. Wow, what a
I've taken the best of what I've learned and condensed it into an intensive mastermind program to help you up your game, turning poker into a profitable side hustle or even a full-time business.
Oh my God! No way! Whoa!
Oh my God!
He calls!
Oh my God!
Over the course of 8 weeks, we'll cover everything from strategy to the mental game, how to study, how to manage your bankroll, game selection, and much more. Head to alex.academy.
Hey guys, welcome to the lab. Today we're going to review the most key hands I played during this session, but if you're still here and you're new here, be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That's a great way to let us know you love this content and so we can keep producing more of it. And that like button really helps for the YouTube algorithm, allows us to show our content to more people and grow this channel. I would really, really appreciate it. Now, let's dive in. The first hand kicks off. We're playing 5-handed. Under the gun opens to 50. I'm to his left with ace-king suited. Gonna be the theme of this video. I make it 160, folds back around to him, and he calls. So far, I'm loving this spot. Obviously, heads up in position with ace-king. Flop comes down 8-3-2 with 1 spade. So I flop backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw, and probably the best hand. He checks, I make a standard c-bet, and he goes ahead and calls. The turn comes a 4 of spades, and now he checks again. And at this point, I really want to apply pressure. My range is a lot stronger than his, simply meaning that all the hands that I could contain are stronger than all the hands that he can contain, most notably because it's a lot easier for me as the pre-flop aggressor to have aces, kings, and queens than it is for him as the pre-flop caller. Therefore, I want to apply pressure in a spot like this and make a bet, forcing him to back himself against a wall and be in a really tough spot playing defense. Let's face it, guys, even if he has something like jacks, he's really just calling or hoping that I'm bluffing, hoping that I'm not representing the types of hands that he thinks that I can have, which are aces, kings, and queens. So he's just praying I don't have those hands, whereas I'm the one applying all the pressure. He checks, I bet 305, and he decides to now go ahead and jam. At this point, I'm not loving my spot, but I don't think he's really going to be jamming a hand like tens. Is he really going to be jamming tens when I'm repping aces or kings? Why would he do that? He's going to just call with those hands. So when he jams here, I actually think there's a decent chance he has a draw. Maybe he flopped a flush draw and he's turning it into a bluff. Or maybe he floated the flop and turned a backdoor flush draw with something like jack 10 suited, something like that. Or maybe he's just turning his flopped flush draw with like ace jack of diamonds into a bluff on the turn and going all in, hoping that I fold. So it's actually a good spot for me because I feel like I'm ahead of a lot of his draws and I might actually have the best hand. Of course, if I don't and he does wake up with top set or something, I still can hit a spade or a 5 to make a straight. All said and done, I'm never folding my hand here, given the fact that I could be ahead, plus all of my equity. I go ahead and call. Unfortunately, he turns over pocket threes for a set, but boom! The river's a 10 of spades and I hit gin card and double up. The second hand comes from my heads up table, and again, same spot, I have ace king, but we're playing heads up here. I make it 40 on the button, and the reason I raised so small is because the villain was 3-betting me very, very frequently. So I wanted to reduce my raise size to allow me to play more hands and call his 3-bets. Of course, as a balanced pro, I'm also going to mix in some strong hands when I raise small to confuse him and so I can go for the 4-bet when he 3-bets. Just like I hoped, he 3-bets to 180, I make a 4-bet to 440, and planning on calling a shove, of course, with ace-king suited heads up. He calls, loving my spot. The flop comes down 10-5 deuce with a flush draw. So I flop ace-king high, of course, with the nut flush draw. So I'm loving my spot here. My plan is just to bet the flop and get it in, of course. He checks, I go ahead and make a c-bet, and he flat calls. At this point, I actually almost rather have him jam because I think I could beat all his flush draws. When he calls here, it's kind of weird. Maybe he has a hand like a 10, maybe he's slow playing like jacks, or he's confused with something like 8s or 7s. But either way, I'm still in a great spot. I have tons of equity, maybe even the best hand. The turn comes a 9, bringing a backdoor flush draw, and he checks again. At this point, I'm loving my spot a little bit less, but I still want to jam all in here and hope that he folds. Maybe he folds something like a 10, probably not, but maybe he folds a hand like 7s, 8s, 6s, or 5x, those types of hands that I beat where I could apply pressure and he's going to fold. I go ahead and jam the turn. He calls me in about 4 seconds, so I'm not loving my spot, but he turns over ace, queen, offsuit. So not only do I have the best hand, but I have the flush redraw, so not all of his queens are live. Somehow, magically, I'm not really snapping for joy, but the queen, offsuit queen comes on the river and he doubles up through me. Pretty brutal, slightly tilted here. Not tilted, but like, it's just brutal. Like if I had ace king, if I didn't have the clubs, it wouldn't be that, like, it wouldn't bother me as much, even though it doesn't change the equities that much. But just having the clubs and the best hand, like if he had a set, I wouldn't really care. But just having the clubs and the best hand and hitting the offsuit queen, it just stung a little bit. Anyway, I still tried to play my best, and I wasn't really affected by it. I was still up at this point, and of course, I'm used to, like, bad beats happen in poker. I'm not gonna, like, get off my game from a bad beat. But it was just like, damn. Third hand comes up where I'm playing heads up on a different table now. This is my third table, which I think is kind of the max limit when I'm playing three-handed. When I'm playing 3 tables, I think 3 tables is kind of like the limit. When I'm playing 2 different opponent heads up in a 6-max game where there's limpers and VIPs. It's about my limit in terms of like focusing on high-quality decisions. But I'm still confident in my ability to play my A game, even though my attention is diffuse across these 3 tables. So this hand kicks off. I make it 60 on the button with ace-8 suited. The big blind makes a 3-bet to 240. Of course, I decide to call here and take a flop. Flop comes down queen 8-8 rainbow. I love this spot. Of course, I flop gin. He now checks. And at this point, I think a lot of people would bet because, like, well, I flop trips in a 3-bet pot. I want to build a pot. But I actually think a lot of the time he's going to check fold here. Maybe he has something like ace-jack high. I'm certainly not going to win multiple bets with that hand. Or maybe he just has a hand like king-jack, king-10 that missed. Or maybe he has an underpair. He might call 1 bet, but I'm certainly not going to win 3 bets here if I start bombing it. If he does have a bluff and I check behind, I allow him to take the lead again and pretend like he was repping something strong by checking the flop and continue bluffing on the turn of the river. So I decided to check back here, really play deceptive. I could also, if you think about how this hand is likely to play out, I could call a bet on the turn and then bluff and then jam the river. He's going to be like, there's no way this guy's slow playing an 8. He might not fold a hand to me where he's making a thin value bet on the turn in the river because he doesn't think I have an 8. So I check the flop for deception. Turn is a 10. He checks again. And now I decide to bet big. I want to bet big here in this spot because I want to set it up for a large river bet. And frankly, because I'm not going to get like all the hands he's calling a bet with, he's going to call regardless of my size. If he has a hand like a 10, he's going to call no matter what. If he's checking a queen twice, he's going to call no matter what. Pocket jacks, pocket 9s, they're all going to call a bet. So why bet small? I bet 360, and he now check raises all in. Of course, I'm loving this spot. I snap call. He has king jack off, and he misses. Boom, I win a big pot. So these were definitely the most key hands I played during my session.
All right, guys, it was a quick session. I ended up hitting and running. I was up, and I got to a point in the session where I really felt like things were turning. I made a marginal call against one of the VIPs. He doubled up, and I just felt like he was going to start playing well. A really good pro joined my other table and started 3-betting, making the games very aggressive. And I knew it was getting time to end for the day anyway. And I was like, you know what? I'm up $1,000 or so, 1,500. Let me just book this win. I'm going home. I'm going to have a beautiful dinner with my wife. And I just wanted to be in that positive headspace, keep the wins going, keep the positivity going, and just build momentum. The last thing I wanted to do is have a great session the first time and then psychologically be up in a session and then, you know, dig my way back out of a hole in that second session today, and then lose it all back with 30 minutes left when I didn't feel like I should have been there in the first place. So I always listen to that part of myself when I just feel like what I should do. I have instinct, I use my instincts to trust what I should do in the moment. I have guidelines for when I should quit a game, but if any time in the moment I'm not feeling like playing, I'm gone. And so I listen to that. I have no ego or judgment about it. I just listen. And that's part of being more conscious. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Awesome content's coming your way. I'll see you on the next episode of Alec in Action.